All right, let me ask you a question. What if I told you that your most powerful coaching tool isn't your whistle, it's not your clipboard, it's the very ground your players are standing on? Today, we're going to unlock a concept that is absolutely going to change how you see the pitch forever. We're talking about relative pitch area.
So, really, think about it. Are you actually using your most powerful coaching tool? And no, I'm not talking about some fancy new gadget or a super complex tactical system. It's something you have total control over in every single session. And honestly, for most coaches, it's hiding in plain sight. So the tool we're talking about, it's called relative pitch area, or you'll hear it called RPA for short. And you know what? It's all about mastering the single most important variable in a game of football: space. Okay, so what exactly is it? Well, put simply, RPA is just the average amount of space that each player has. Just imagine taking the entire pitch area and dividing it up into equal little slices for every single player on the field. That little personal patch of grass, that's their RPA. It's a really simple but super elegant way to measure how dense or how spread out your players are. And the best part? Calculating it is incredibly easy. You don't need a math degree for this, I promise. You just figure out the total area of your pitch, yep, just length times width, and then you divide that number by the total number of players out there. That's it. Two quick steps, and suddenly you have this really powerful piece of data to start working with. Let's put a real number on it to make it clear. On a standard pitch, say 100 meters by 65 meters, you've got 6,500 square meters of space. Now, with 22 players out there for a regular 11-a-side match, that gives each player an average of about 295 square meters. That number, that's our baseline. That's what a full-scale game feels like. Okay, and this is where RPA goes from being a number to being a practical coaching tool. We can classify that space as small, medium, or large. You know, a really tight five-a-side game, that's a small RPA, probably under 100 square meters per player. A 9v9 on about half a pitch, that usually falls into medium. And like we just saw, a full 11v11 game is large. These simple categories, they're the key to designing your sessions with a very specific purpose in mind. So we can measure the space, but so what? How does that actually change the game? Well, this is where we as coaches really get to start pulling the strings, because changing the RPA has a direct, it has a predictable, and frankly, a massive impact on how your players perform. And here it is. This is the core trade-off, the fundamental choice you make every single time you set out your cones. When you're in a large space, players are challenged physically. They're going to cover more ground, hit higher speeds, and deal with more long balls. But shrink that space down and bam, suddenly it's a technical puzzle. You get way more touches, more passes, more quick decisions in really tight areas. The space itself dictates the type of football that gets played. So, where's the sweet spot? Well, a lot of research suggests that a medium RPA might just give you the best of both worlds. It pushes players physically, demanding that athletic output, but it also forces that high level of technical skill and repetition you see in really small spaces. It's kind of the perfect blend for well-rounded development. All right, enough theory. Let's get practical. How do we take this idea off the screen and actually use it to build smarter, more effective training sessions? I want you to think of this as your new coaching dashboard. First, what's your goal for today's session? If you want to sharpen up finishing and quick decision-making, you shrink the space. You use a small RPA. If it's a fitness day and you need to push their physical limits, you expand the area. And for a balanced, game-realistic session, you find that medium sweet spot. See? You are in complete control of the outcome. So here are a few ideas just to get you started. You could design finishing drills in a space the size of a phone booth to force quick shots and creativity. Use those classic small-sided games to naturally get more touches and decision-making under pressure. Or, when you need to push their conditioning, just open up the space. The power is literally in your hands. And look, this way of thinking isn't just for training sessions. You can get creative on game day too. Instead of one big 11-a-side friendly where half your squad is sitting on the bench, why not run two 7v7 games at the same time? You get more playing time, more engagement, and way more development. You can even set up a little 3v3 game on the sideline to keep your substitute sharp, involved, and actually improving. Now this is where RPA becomes an absolute game changer, especially for youth development. In a small space, the biggest, fastest player, well, they're no longer automatically dominant. It forces them to think, to be clever, to use the ball at their feet.
And so crucially, it allows smaller, more technical players to really thrive. It just levels the playing field and makes sure everyone is being challenged in the right way. So, when you put this all together, RPA isn't just another acronym or some number on a spreadsheet. It's your coaching superpower. It's the ability to literally architect the game's environment to create the exact challenge your players need in that moment to grow. This is the point I really want you to take away. The pitch isn't just some static surface you play on, it's a dynamic tool. You can stretch it, you can shrink it, you can shape it to pose a very specific problem for your players to solve, whether that problem is physical, technical, or tactical. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have this knowledge, what's just one intentional change you're going to make to your pitch size in your very next session? Think about your goals, take a look at your players, and use the space around them to help them get where you want them to go.